Yes, thank you, Stefano. So, starting from the picture near me, I will introduce my colleagues, and so with Adrian with the Swiss, from Swiss. So,
Hi
introduce
guys, hi
yourself.
everyone. So yes, I'm part of the developer relations at Huawei. I'm essentially a software engineer, heavily focused on Android, and yeah, my current mission right now in Huawei is to help and assist app developers to onboard our ecosystem, which means the app gallery as an app store and using the Huawei mobile services. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. And so my partner also for HDG in so many events, my mentor Giovanni Laquidara from UK.
Oh, thank you, thank you, Francesco. Yeah, I'm Giovanni. I'm Italian, so ciao a tutti. But I'm working in London, UK, so I'm developer advocate in Huawei, supporting the UK market and Ireland market. Yeah, and here in Italy sometimes. So great.
Thank you, Giovanni. And so Waib from Germany.
Hi everyone. Yeah, it's Wahib from Munich. I'm leading the operation for partner engineering. My topics which I focus on are a bit different to the rest of the panelists. I focus more on, I essentially come from an Android background, but I have switched a lot now to IoT and now take care of all the IoT interests of Huawei, mainly with the application side, also cloud and also Harmony OS and so on. So mostly embedded side of things when it comes to IoT. But we always find opportunity to work together, and that's why here I am.
Thank you, Waib. Then we will go to Fernando from UK.
Ciao a tutti, I'm Fernando, I'm developer advocate at Huawei. I'm originally Android developer from Spain. Yeah, I'm very involved on the app gallery integrations, partnerships, also the wearables mainly.
Thank you, Fernando. Then to Zachary from UK too.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Zachary Powell, lead developer advocate, focusing on App Gallery Connect, basically. So all the kind of developer services that go along with App Gallery, with a particular focus on the serverless side of stuff.
So you can hear that the only British accent was from Giovanni, right?
Exactly.
Then finally to Miguel from Spain. Miguel, you're muted.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. Ciao a tutti. I'm also from Spain, part of the developer relations. And well, I'm also leading the gaming special task force. So we are more focused also on bringing game studios and the best games into App Gallery.
Thank you, Miguel. So today I presented a solution to generate 3D models starting from real objects with 3D modeling kit, but also the HMS Core 6.0. So our kits and the services that are working on with HMS Core and also without HMS Core on non-Huawei devices. If you have any question, please ask in chat. We are here to answer, to reply to you. Something that I want to talk about is very compelling, it's amazing among our services, is about the part of AR engine and machine learning kit. For example, some features just like text to ESR, automatic speech recognition, text to speech, and so on. Giovanni, what do you think about that?
Johnny, you are mute.
Giovanni, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. This is very common. Your mute is the most common phrase of these days. So thank you, guys. Let me know. Yeah, thank Francesco, because I think speaking about this interesting feature about AR and machine learning is very compelling at the moment. And we are offering a lot of this feature throughout our kits, our developer kits. So the first one I want to let you know is about MLKit. That is the one that is enclosing all our AI features. So all the developers that want to use the power of machine learning inside their application, they just need to use our MLKit. So this is like a big kit that is including a lot of features, like from the most common, like image recognition, to all the feature related to language. So like real-time language detection, or like real-time translation, so on. So like understanding the text and so on. But I think one of them, I mean, these features are more or less quite similar to the one offered also by other competitor or other SDKs outside. But I think that we are offering a lot of interesting stuff with this MLKit, especially for what, especially in regards of the body tracking, face recognition and tracking. We also have like some hand tracking feature. So if you are a developer and want to use like the camera inside in your application, you want to use the camera to detect the hands of your user, to make maybe you want to control the app with a gesture of your hands. You can, and it's really trivial to use this API with MLKit. It's just a matter of adding the dependency in the Gradle file, and then it's just a matter of calling this API. I mean, you can check in the documentation. It's really super easy. And we are also offering a very precise way to detect the point of interest of the hands, or the skeleton of a human body, and the face. And yeah, I mean, we are also not only supporting Android with this MLKit, but even iOS. So especially for the part that is in regards of the language feature, so like real-time translation, we are supporting iOS as well. So you can use straight away the MLKit even for iOS. And even for if you need to use like the feature of image segmentation. So if you want to select something inside your image, like, I don't know, I want to remove the background. So if you are developing some application that is doing photo editing, this is really straightforward with MLKit, and we are supporting iOS as well. So this is really important. And I mean, this is talking about this because I want to talk about all the part about machine learning, but we have a like another part about if you are interested to develop application that are using augmented reality. And this is, I mean, you can achieve this with another kit that we in Huawei are developing that is not called kit, but is called AR engine. Because this is more like the base engine of all our augmented reality implementation. And this is also really powerful because it supports like the most common feature of all the augmented reality frameworks outside. So like the motion tracking of the smartphone, the light estimation. So if you need to represent a 3D model inside your real world with the camera, we are able to understand the light of the environment, so you can maybe project some realistic shadows. So you can cast on the real world throughout your camera the realistic shadow of your 3D model. But even we are using a really powerful algorithm to detect the planes of your real world. So if you are pointing your smartphone in your smartphone camera to your real world, we are able to detect the floor, the table, or the walls. So we are able to detect the vertical and horizontal planes and assign labels to it. So this is really powerful if you want to associate 3D model on a table or a floor. So, or even if you are developing games with it, we will see later about these things about the games. And in one of the last update, we added also the possibility to actually detect 3D object and make your application detect this 3D object. And maybe, if you want to create an augmented reality that is application is able to understand what 3D object is pointing at, and maybe overimpose some dialogue, some information of it. So we have this feature, and it's called AR Cloud Services. AR cloud services. And with this, it's even straightforward to use. So you have just to have a mapping of the 3D object that you want to recognize. You just need to upload this 3D model of the 3D object on our cloud, our App Gallery cloud, and then your application will be able to understand if the camera of your smartphone inside your application is pointing at the 3D model, this 3D model, let's say like an object that you can, that you actually can create a 3D model of this object using another.
So with the 3D modeling kit also.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. This is really a useful feature to use together with the 3D modeling kit, because you can actually use the 3D modeling kit to map a 3D object, a real one. Then you can upload the 3D object model on our AR cloud services, and then you can develop an app that every time it detects that 3D model on your camera is doing something. So let's see, like I want the 3D model of the Colosseum, and I want that if the user is pointing at it, some dialogue information is appearing on the screen. So it's very useful, that things.
Very clear. Thank you, Giovanni.
Yeah. Thanks.
But also with HMS, we are supporting a lot of frameworks, but most of the question by my partners, but I think also by your partners and developers in general, is about the patterns that we suggest to integrate services in an app that already is using other services, and also for new project or project already developed. Adrian, if I remember well, is also supporting for some GitHub open source wrapper about HMS solution through with GMS and other services. Right, Adrian?
Yes, Francesco, that's right. So first of all, I would like to say that, I will use GMS as a word for the Google Play services, to keep it short, because we have HMS, Huawei Mobile Services, and then we have GMS, Google Mobile Services. So you're right. We get this question a lot, like, because most app developers, they already use a couple of GMS services in their app, right? So they would like to join the App Gallery ecosystem and support the HMS equivalent, right? Because on the new HMS devices, the newest devices from Huawei, you don't have GMS. So we on the HMS offering, we have equivalents to GMS. So now the question is how to do this transition, right? So I think your developer intuition will tell you it's maybe a good idea to separate them, right? Because at one point in time on a device, you cannot use them both in parallel. You will either use GMS or HMS. So following this intuition, it's only natural to create in your project two different flavors. One will be GMS and the other one HMS, and then you will have two different source sets. So, if we take the example of location providing, let's say in your main source set, you will just have a class, location provider, let's name it, with a method that will return the last known location, latitude and longitude, let's say, right? So that you will have in your main source set. And then in the GMS source set, you will have the same class with the same method. And inside this method, you will have an implementation adapted to GMS that will use the GMS fuse location provider. And then, of course, in the HMS source set, you will have another implementation using the HMS fuse location. So everything is decided at compile time, right? Depending on the flavor you want to build, you'll get that functionality embedded in your app. With this approach, you will end up having, of course, two binaries to build outputs. And this works quite fine, but maybe there is another way that could be interesting. So we talked about compile time deciding, right? But what if we decide at runtime? So what if, let's say you bundled all the GMS and HMS dependencies that you need. For this simple example, you would have the GMS fuse location and the HMS fuse location added both as dependencies. They will exist in the resulting binary. And then, at the runtime, you would just test, or you will try to detect which capabilities are supported by your device. So let's say, because we have an API for that, you will quickly test if you have HMS on the device. And if you do that, then you'll just branch off and use at runtime, you'll decide at runtime to use the HMS location provider, and otherwise you will fall back to the GMS one. And because you were asking me about those wrapper libraries, they come in very handy in this scenario because so we have one for location providing and one for maps. And what you basically do is just add a dependency on the library. And then instead of, you will not change anything in your code, in your GMS code, in your code that already uses the GMS location provider or maps, you will not change anything. You'll just, because the wrapper, so the API of the wrappers, it's totally similar to the GMS one. So same class names, same methods, same hierarchy, everything is the same. Just the package name is different, of course. So what you would do just a mass rename in your project. You will just replace the GMS package name with the wrapper package name. And then basically all your former calls to the GMS classes will be now passed to the wrapper, which under the hood will make sure that it routes it to the GMS classes if it's a GMS device, or to the HMS ones if it's an HMS device. So it's a very good value proposition if you're using location or maps, because this basically comes for free. I mean, you'll just have a working implementation right away.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adrian. So another question is about the supported frameworks, you know. And before in the keynote, I was saying that we are supporting Flutter, React Native, Cordova. A new coming is OutSystems, is from this year. But, you know, what about the game development frameworks? Because you know that they're more closed in order to support. Right, Miguel?
Yes, well, actually, you know that roughly 90% of all the games that are in any app store are made with game engines, no? So we know some of the names like Unity, Corona, that now is Solar 2D, Cocos, LibGDX, and then we have some others, no? We've tried to make your life easier, actually, no? Because normally if you are working on a game engine, as you said, they are very close. And sometimes it can be difficult to add some native libraries, no? Some of them will take hours, if not weeks of code, no? And what we have developed is, well, plugins that will try to make like all the heavy lifting for you. So if we, for example, go for the Unity game engine, no? That is one of the most common. Right now, you just need to download this open source project that is on GitHub. You will import this plugin inside your project. For example, adding ads, no, to get the power of the Huawei ads inside your game, no, so you can monetize your players. It will take a matter of 5 minutes, roughly, because you just need to activate which features do you need, and then just make some configuration, some IDs. But this is mostly work you can do in just about some minutes, no. So I think that's a really good job that we've done on that part, no? So to make developers' lives easier, but also it's important, no, that it's not only about the integration, it's about the whole life cycle of the game and the support we give, no? Like I said, well, we all here, we are part of the developer relations, no? And I think it's important that the public knows that we are there to help them through any of the problem. It's not like here you have the documentation. They can contact us and we'll try to help them. And especially in game engine integrations, no? Since games tend to be so complex these days and they might have some kind of trouble, they can connect also with us. And we have, well, all kind of different ways to connect nowadays, no? So I think it's an important part that we are not letting them with here, do you have the documentation? Here is a plugin, but also, well, all the people that are here today are here to help you.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Miguel. And you know that also about the support about the frameworks, but you know that sometimes someone is not a backend developer, is not a server developer. So sometimes is only a front-end developer and want to create the whole thing, the whole development, the whole app with server. So there are serverless apps. And if I remember well, Zachary is taking care about that. Right.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, that's one thing that we kind of heard a lot from mobile developers is they hate doing backends for mobile apps. It's just something that people like to avoid. And if you're on a small team or you're a developer by yourself, you're probably going to have to do it, at least traditionally, and that sucks. So some of the services that Huawei have developed allow you to basically build a full backend for your application without ever having to worry about the code. You don't have to worry about the servers. You don't have to worry about the the updates to the software, the security, any of that stuff, which people just don't want to deal with. You don't have to worry about that anymore. We have new services basically sort of this year in the EU for cloud database, cloud storage, something we call cloud functions, which basically allows you to write code functionality in JavaScript that can then be executed on an event base. And basically, if you combine those things together, you have everything you need to create a backend for your project, and you can do it in a much quicker route than maybe traditional backend server development would require. And you don't have to worry about particularly security, especially these days. Security is so important. Let us worry about that. Let us make sure it's secure, and you can use the services to just get the work done that you need to get done. And I think that's just something that's become very important for people, and it's great to see people starting to use these services and come up with new ways to use it. We also, as already kind of mentioned, those services are supported across a lot of different platforms on both iOS, Android, and kind of hybrid frameworks. But some of them are also supported for server languages. So you can write a server-based Java application or Node.js and communicate with the serverless functions. So for example, if you do have a server, but you don't want to worry about a database, for example, you can communicate with the serverless database in that function and kind of integrate into what other services you're already using. So it can kind of either be a complete replacement, or it can be something that kind of just boosts what you're already doing and can, give you more power and more performance. So yeah, I think it's a really great thing to see.
Thank you, Zachary. In the meantime, I'm checking the chat, and we have already answered most of the question, because the topic that we talked about were the replies to the answer to the question. But there is another question about the crash service. So they're asking if there is a similar of Firebase Crashlytics. Yes, we have Huawei Crash Service. It's related to Analytics Kit, so you need to integrate Analytics Kit, all dependency, and then you can add dependency for Crash Service. And they're asking if there is a similar of tracking the exception for Crash Service. Yes. It's automatically, and also you can customize the tracking of the whole thing, the crash, and also you can add the user ID and so on, because you are using Analytics Kit also. Okay, so I don't know if you guys want to add something else about that.
Yeah, I mean, I will just say that, yeah, I think one key thing that's really important there is because it is integrating directly with the Analytics Kit, you can get some really powerful analytical data about what's going on with your app, not just the crashes, although obviously that's a vital point of that data, but it kind of becomes this ecosystem of information where you can really get a very good understanding about what's going on with your application for different users, or what's actually happening, which I think is really important.
Yes, thank you, Zachary. So about the serverless app, do you have any question, guys, from the audience? Okay, in the meantime, something that I can just think about is about the AG Connect services because it's always about server and but we have also CI and CD, you know, continuous integration, continuous delivery. Sometimes there are a lot of questions about that. We have integrated something like Fastlane, but we have also the who is in charge for the Bitrise integration, Fernando.
Yeah, so we on Huawei, we have one of the public APIs that allows users to deploy their app on App Gallery. Using this public API, you can use any framework that you desire. At the moment, there are many plugins out there, so you can use either Fastlane, or even you can use a plugin for Gradle, or depending on the CI that you manage, you can even use Bitrise, which is one of the integrations I helped with this year. All of them are really mean to deploy your app on App Gallery. The one on Bitrise is really handful because without understanding anything about the code or any other stuff on the backend, you can customize your workflow, so which is like your pipeline on your CI with different rules that just dragging and drop some plugins, you can manage your whole workflow to deploy your app with some conditions. So you can deploy your app directly, so you can roll out your whole new version to all of your users, or you can even roll out your version progressively. And all of this is possible. We have the content out there, so I created some tutorials online on YouTube and Medium, so you can even check the code base that is public on GitHub. And yeah, it's quite insightful, and you can understand the whole process. And even if you find any other new use case that is not ready yet, you can even create a pull request. So the good thing is everything is upfront, is transparent, so anyone can contribute to this. But in the end, what it allows everyone is to automate your deployment, as you could do on Google Play Store or App Store.
Yeah, thank you. And also, if I remember well, there is also another AG Connect API that is very interesting. It's used also by Immuni, if I remember well. Immuni is, as you know, the COVID-19 official app in Italy, and is the report API. Yeah. Zachary, Fernando, do you have any clues about that?
Well, I can start if you want, Zach. So I actually created another plugin this year on Bitrise using this public API. So anyone can contribute on this, also working on any non-existing plugin for any other platform as Fastlane. Basically that gives you these metrics about the installs or errors during the installs. Whenever you publish your app. So it's some metrics that some big companies or medium companies will take in order to improve the delivery time, so the delivery process. I think it's quite interesting in order to improve in long term your whole system. I don't know if Zach maybe has got some more details about this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the best thing about the Connect API basically is that anything that you can do in the App Gallery Connect portal on the console on the actual website, you can basically do through the API now. So if you've got your own internal tools, like Fernando mentioned, is like if you're a medium or a large company, you're probably using your own internal tracking tools for reporting. You're probably using your own build tools. You're probably, all of that can be integrated into App Gallery using the API, and you can kind of have full control of that process. So once you've initially got everything set up, you don't really have to then log into the portal and do anything there. So if you're in a large company, you don't have to worry about, who has access to the portal, who can upload a package, who can do X, Y, Z. It can all just be done through the API, and that way you can make sure that your processes don't have to change. Basically, it can really integrate very well into your current situation.
Yeah, thank you, Zachary. Thank you, Fernando. One other question that I can imagine is about the wealth fitness. So coming back to the HMS, so so in HMS core part for mobile, but we are thinking about wearables, right? So if Fernando is also in touch with partner for Wear Engine Health Kit, right?
Yeah, so we have one of these interfaces in order to connect HMS devices and wearables, but not HMS devices also are available, so you can even connect your Android app with our Huawei wearables through the Wear Engine, which is this interface that I mentioned. So you basically create this, so you import this dependency on your Android project, and you can communicate your existing Android app with the wearable. And there are two versions at the moment about the wearable. So we have something called light wearable and the wearable. So the wearable obviously is smarter because it's independent of the phone. So in case you don't want to interact with your phone, we have one of our existing wearables is the Watch 3. It's able to work by itself. So you can link your eSIM. It's possible to connect to any API to internet, really. So you can do everything you need from your watch. And it's possible to develop any app on your watch at the moment. So just by downloading IntelliJ in the Huawei variant, which is the DevEco Studio, we call it this way, and just creating a new project for HarmonyOS, which is the OS running in this Watch 3, you can develop your app. The particularities are in this one is so the OS is quite similar to the Android one, with some tiny differences, but at the end the components are quite similar. Behaviors are pretty similar. So if you are familiar with the Android ecosystem and the development, it's going to be quite easy to introduce yourself in this new way to develop for wearables.
Yeah, and on DevEco, you can develop apps for wearable. We have two difference, right? Light wearable and wearable. The difference is that light wearable is supporting only the JavaScript and web-based project, and the watch. So the wearable, in Italy we have Watch 3. And it's totally independent as watch. It has an eSIM, it has a connectivity, Wi-Fi, and so it's not only depending on a smartphone. It's just like a smartwatch on your wrist. But you can support it with Java, right? With the project in Java,
yeah,
and the XML, right?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, you just described everything how it is. So in the future, we are expecting to have even more features in this new variant in the wearable. So in the one for Java and JavaScript, and it's good because we give this opportunity to web developers to engage with the wearable development, which is good. Which is something that hasn't happened on the Android side with Wear OS that we know is very trendy at the moment.
And Francesco, one thing to add, DevEco Studio is not just for wearable. It's like our ultimate IDE, based on one of the open source IntelliJ open source IDEs, and it is supposed to be used for developing apps for the HarmonyOS phones, HarmonyOS watches, in the future, maybe even for infotainment system, for cars, basically all the products of Huawei, which will run HarmonyOS. This is the IDE which everyone will use, which we are already using for a couple of months. And yeah, this is going to be the main IDE every developer should be aware of.
Yes, indeed. And also, you are supporting for an hackathon for that, right?
We are actually starting from Monday. It's HarmonyOS hackathon. It's a bit different focus, not on targeting app developers or Android developers, but it's more targeting IoT developers and embedded audience. And basically, we want everyone to build a smart home and try to build fancy automation routines and Raspberry Pis and those kind of developers. And if someone out there listening to us is actually interested, I will share the link in the chat, and please apply. We still have tomorrow as deadline, so you still have time. There's a prize money. There are experts to mentor you. There are partners there to pitch ideas, and it's an amazing opportunity for IoT community out there.
Yeah, thank you. So, any other clues about Deveco? Because Deveco is very new, so it should be released in Western Europe from 2nd June, if I remember well, 2021. But we had a lot of update on it, and we're still developing on it. So, any other clues about that part from your side? The audience has some question for us.
Well, I would like to add that we have one thing that is quite relevant is highlighting the emulator, which is about to be released in Europe. It's available in China, but not in Europe yet, but you can still create your app and deploy your app on the existing wearables. So you can use your wearable that you can buy in a shop and do it physically. And very soon will be also in your emulator as any other app for Android or any HMS or any other stuff.
Yeah. So going back, because I see that Adrian was also sharing a part that before he presented about a wrapper for GMS and HMS, because I was saying that Adrian is supporting also for open source on GitHub. So doing a wrapper. I don't know if you want to give more info about the wrapper for map, Adrian.
Yeah, so I think it's a very good value proposition if you wanna. So if you don't depend on too many GMS SDKs and you wanna quickly be present on App Gallery and target those users with the newest Huawei devices. So you want to reach them as well, right? You want your app to be available to them as well. So let's say, I mean, if you're using the maps, usually you use location as well, right? So they go together hand in hand. So let's assume you have this app with depending on Google Maps, right? And Google Fuse location. So you would ideally you would like to have it. You would like to submit your app on App Gallery as well, right? As soon as possible. But because the newest Huawei devices, they cannot run the Google services. How would you provide, maps and location for those users? So I think here is where this wrapper is really useful, because as I was saying before, the effort is just, besides adding the dependency, is just to do a rename, and that's it. The wrapper will take care to route your calls to either GMS if the platform supports it, or HMS if you're running on a Huawei device. So then you are able to achieve the same functionality on regardless of the platform. And as I was saying, the API of the wrapper is totally similar to the Google API. So again, no changes for you. Anything that any functionality that you call which is related to the Google APIs will be supported by the wrapper and accordingly routed to the HMS counterpart. Yeah, I guess that's really nice to have.
Yes, thank you, Adrian. And about map, one of the latest, most recent updates of this year is about Petal Maps intent. You can. We have a new app. Is a Petal Maps for navigation routing through the map, and you can use an intent from the app to connect Petal Maps with it. So it's very easy, and it's very familiar for the apps developer that are already doing something like that with other solution, with other map solution.
And I will also like to add about maps, because yeah, it's a valid point from your side. So I would like to build on that. Is that quite soon the map kit, the Huawei map kit, will be you will be able to use it also on non-Huawei devices, which I think it's quite amazing. So if you're looking for a single, single unified map solution, Huawei Maps might be the thing for you. Keep that in mind.
Yes, this is a thing that I want to remark. Also in the keynote, I was saying something like that, because it's a game changer. Because we in last year and also the year before, we were relying on Huawei hardware, Huawei devices. But today we have most of kits on Android and also iOS devices. And also we have API for JavaScript, so website and so on. So we are offering services for the whole thing, all the platforms. Okay, most of the platforms for mobile. It's very useful, and also it's easy for developers, because they have only one service, only one console, one developer account, and they can integrate a service for all the apps. So what do you think about that? I remember also AdsKit. AdsKit was relying on only Huawei devices last year, and from this year, from June, if I remember well, is not more depending neither from HMS core on board. It's totally easy.
Yeah, going off from that in terms of sort of supporting other platforms and stuff. One thing that we do support with App Gallery Connect now is what we call app linking. So being able to create a link to your application. Firebase has equivalent thing, and it's something that exists. But what's key and what developers have really loved about our solution is that it will work across all Android devices. So it will, when you create this link, it'll attempt to link it to the app gallery, which is configurable. You can choose whether or not you want to do that. But it will then fall back to what local app marketplace is being used by the device. So if the user doesn't have App Gallery, it will fall back to the Play Store, or it might fall back to a different store if it doesn't have Play Store. Whereas the app linking that's supported by sort of Firebase and what have you only supports the Play Store. So again, it's kind of Huawei's kind of building up these examples where actually our service can be used across everywhere and will work everywhere. We're not excluding anyone. It can be a really good option for complete cross-platform support across all Android devices, and in some cases in essentially all mobile devices, because iOS is supported and a lot of hybrid frameworks as well. So yeah, I think that's really important to kind of emphasize.
Totally. So so guys, we are in the end. I don't know if the audience has some more questions, or if I'm missing something, I ask help.
Francesco, one of the questions I normally get, at least, well, I guess it's normal in game development, but also in app development. No? You've been working a long time in the development, you've been putting hundreds of hours there, and you want to make sure that everything is going to go right when you launch, no? So an important part is about quality assurance. I normally get the questions asked, and from that, I think it's important that they hear, that App Gallery Connect is now a mature platform, that has all the solutions that are needed for this. For example, we have open testing. It will be just a place where you can make internal testing, to make sure everything is running okay. Also, whenever you're launching a new release, you can use the phased release. So instead of just deploying to all your users or players this new version that you're not or you're not sure that it's going to work 100%, you can just do like a small test with maybe 5%, 2% of your users and see to test the waters, And finally, another thing that I think is really nice, and that I normally use a lot with developers, and they are happy to have, is the cloud debugging, because from there you can actually connect to remote devices. Here in Europe, I believe they are in Germany and in Ireland, and you can connect directly to real devices. So it's not just as, okay, it's working on the simulator. You can test yourself that is working on a real device, and you can see that everything is working. No, so that will really help you sleep the day before the launch when you see that everything has or is supposed to go smooth.
Yes, and also it's totally free, and it has only a limit of hours, but when the hours are around 2, there will be an alert to recharge them, always free, always for free. It's only to don't get busy a certain device and free it for the others, for other developers. Okay. So just access your developer account, Huawei developer account, and you can enjoy this service and also the others.
Okay, thank
So
you.
if
Francesco?
there are no other, I don't see other audience question.
Francesco, can you hear me?
So-
Francesco?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So I let Marco do some Q&A with you guys. Thank you, by the way.
Thank
you,
you.
guys. I have a couple of questions for you. How did you get the idea to connect the App Gallery Connect API, sorry, to Bitrise, and are there other plugins to use together with App Gallery Connect?
Yeah, good question. So actually that came from the a need I had back in 2020. So I was trying to deploy one of my projects that was already deployed on App Gallery, but it was everything manually. And I wanted to use the knowledge I had on Bitrise, and I tried to find any step that is the plugin they use on Bitrise. I tried to use something already existing, but the thing that was already existing wasn't it.
I can hear the echo.
Can you hear me?
Okay, now yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what I mentioned is that I tried to find a existing step on App Gallery. I couldn't find anything. Well, there was one step, but it wasn't doing the job really. So I needed to create something unverified. So I started to having some chats with the Bitrise team, and I created this step using shell script. And at the beginning of the year, back in January this year, I deployed this new project, this new step on the Bitrise platform, and it's available on GitHub. The same way, there are some other plugins that I mentioned before. There are some in Kotlin, for example, the one that you can deploy using Gradle. I made some contributions in that one also on GitHub. It's not an official one because there is no official for Gradle. The same way with the Fastlane. There are 2 in Fastlane. I helped in one of them using Ruby. It's not official because obviously it's open source. There is no an entity behind the scenes, but it's already available on GitHub as well. So anyone, depending on the needs, depending on the platform they use for deployment, they can use all of those 3 or 4 that are already available.
I will also just say there's a couple more coming soon that I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, there's more coming.
There is already also the GitHub Actions. I'm contributing with more advanced one, but there is already something that works, so it's good.
I think, Fernando, you should share the links as well with them. For them, they can access the videos.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I have just one more question. You talked to us about the wearable development. What are the steps to begin with the development of a wearable application on the Huawei platform? Can anyone start developing and publish a wearable application on the App Gallery?
Yeah, so that's a good. Can you hear me? I was listening to some echo, so I didn't know if someone was speaking. So anyone can apply for this. So you have by now there is something you need to do. in case if you want to develop something as a companion app, which means communicating with the phone, you need to apply on our App Gallery console for the Web Engine. Otherwise, you just need to open a new project on App Gallery and creating this project with the HarmonyOS variant. You can link this project with the one you create on Deveco Studio, which means that you link both IDs. You can find all of the documentation, more specific stuff on our documentation official one. And anyone can deploy anything, as I mentioned, on the physical device by now, but in the near future will be on the emulator as well, so you can try your apps locally on your device.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay.
I think that we
Thank you.
have done with the questions.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for this roundtable and for everything, I guess. And see you soon at next DroidCon, maybe.
Sure.
Thank you.
Definitely, yeah.
I hope offline.
Yeah, we hope so as well, fortunately. Hopefully. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay.